Yes, sir. Welcome back to another Drop or Die film session. I'm your Drop or Die podcast, Molly Mo, Jamal Force. And listen, them boys been on the slide, man. Washington Commanders. It's not pretty. 3 games straight, you lose to some top tier teams. And in the third game itself, you lose to a reeling Dallas Cowboys. I believe 3-7 or 2-7, now 3-7. It's nothing to excuse the way in which the offense has played in all 3 games, let alone against the Dallas Cowboys. I'll show you go for over 400 yards, but majority of that come over the last 2 drives of the game. What happened the first half of the game? What happened in the third quarter of the game? Washington Commanders had 5 3-and-outs against the Dallas Cowboys, and while they had 8 total over the last 2 games with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Philadelphia Eagles, they ain't had 5 in the game. But you get 5 against the Dallas Cowboys, you know, something fishy going on. Let's tap into some of the plays against the Dallas Cowboys that I think are essential to showing why the Commanders' offense is trending in the wrong direction, but also the dire situation they are in currently and why they need to turn things around. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to the Drop or Die film session right now. All right, so here's the first play of the game. Get a little split zone action. B-Rob gets hurt on this one too, so sorry if you all have to relive this moment again. 50, who is 50? I don't know the defender's name, but the one technique for the Dallas Cowboys. First and foremost, we got 2 things that's going wrong here, right? First off, Tyler Biadasz, seeing his first action against the Dallas Cowboys since he left the team, gets blown off the ball, right? Pad level in itself, you get an aggressive defensive lineman who has some really good hand usage, but also functional strength, and just drives Biadasz off the ball. Drives him about 3 yards in the backfield into Byron Robinson's path. That immediately changes Byron Robinson's path, right? But you got a defender who's ready to play football and an offensive lineman who was not expecting any of that power at all, clearly. So now you force B-Rob to change directions. He goes nowhere. But where does 97 come from, right? And this is where we get into Brandon Coleman and Nick Allegretti on the backside of this run play. Look at this one more time. So I don't know if y'all seen that. We're going to slow it down. This is a combo block, right? Where you get a little bit of help and Allegretti advances to the second level, right? This had to be an accident. He pushes Nick Allegretti out of the way. But not only does he push Nick Allegretti out of the way, like he literally pushes Nick. He doesn't overtake 97. Like he runs right past him. I don't know what that was. I really don't. I have no idea. But Brandon Coleman pushes Nick Allegretti out of the way, and typically in the combo, you want that guy to overtake the first level defender, right? But he just runs right past him. So there you go. B-Rob gets his ankle rolled up on, and we're talking about a negative first play. All right, so this is a 3rd and 7, 6th play of the game. 3rd and 7. Right before this was an Austin Eckler jet sweep that went absolutely nowhere. You got a couple people on the edge who missed a block. Terry McLaurin, he didn't secure the edge, and I think it was one more person, John Bates. He struggled to secure the play side edge defender. So essentially, you ran jet sweep to the perimeter where the 2 main blocks that was supposed to get secured, I believe, just they failed on the block. So now you're in the 3rd and 7 after you had a successful, you had a good start to the drive, right? Going into the 2nd and 7 is manageable. You get 3 more yards, you're in a 3rd and 4, but now you're in a 3rd and 7 and you have a play like this. A complete shell. Now I tell people all the time, some things are easy to recognize, but I'm not a quarterback guru in terms of the technical details. But that looks like a hurry throw to me. And the result is an overthrow by like 6 yards. Now, the concept in itself where you have Ertz running that corner route, right? You get your initial separation where you probably have a yard of good room if you give him a good ball towards that sideline. But it's not even to the sideline, and it's also not even close to Ertz. So you get a 3-and-out after you get not a 3-and-out, but this is after the block kick, I believe. But you get the situation where you have an opportunity to put up points after a Cowboys mistake, and you overthrow the football. Bad moment. They needed a mulligan. All right, so now this play in particular wasn't, I mean, you get an incomplete pass. It is what it is, man coverage, right? So in these instances, you really need some people to win. And the incompletion happens at the top of the play with Noah Brown. It is what it is. Sometimes, incompletions happen, and it's unfortunate because it's 3rd and 2, and this is also a play where they elect for a field goal. They end up missing instead of going for it. You have a window immediately to Ertz if you want to throw it right there, but he goes for the backside, which isn't a bad idea. So an incomplete pass is what it is. So we're not worried about that, right? Because, I mean, those things happen. You're not going to be perfect. And then also defenses are going to make plays. What I'm looking at here is the route spacing and a play in which, or on the side of the field that doesn't really get any attention. Terry McLaurin is running a 10 to 12 yard curl route. Olamide Zaccheaus is running a crosser over the middle of the field. What was supposed to happen if these two routes were actually in the progression early on? That's not good spacing. I don't think that's a good concept either. If this is the actual route, if this was the actual plan or the scheme in itself on this play. I don't think it is. I think somebody either messed up. Because I refuse to believe, I don't think it's terrible, but it's like something doesn't look right here. Because you don't have a crosser and Terry breaking at the point in which the crosser will be running. Doesn't make much sense. So that's where I'm getting at with this play. I don't think this has been a huge problem throughout the season, let alone these last 3 games, but it's something that popped out now. I'm like, okay, are we getting a little confused offensively beyond the play calling and the execution from winning routes and defending pass rush and making the right read? Is it come down to route running as well? Or was that just a one-off? As we continue on through this film session, a couple more plays on 3rd down in particular, or maybe pure pass rush situations. Washington loves, and we showed this previously in previous film sessions, they send, especially when they go to empty, they have tight alignments between their tight ends or their receivers and running backs to stay tight to the formation, and they'll chip help on both edge rushers. Sometimes in this game against the Cowboys, Micah Parsons lines up outside, meaning outside the tackle or outside of the tight end. There's other times where Washington saw Micah Parsons align on the left guard or on the right guard. Let's run this play. Show you what happened. Jaden Daniels is running for his life because Sam Cosmi got whooped initially. This is your best offensive lineman coming into the season, and now you're talking about Sam Cosmi and Tyler Biadasz as 2 of your better offensive linemen throughout the season so far. Sam Cosmi allows Micah to cross face. He creates instant separation, or instant penetration, and hawks Jaden down. Again, Sam oversets. Micah gives him the crossover, beats him instantly, able to get upfield and get him off his mark. On the same side, you have a line game on the left side, right? And we're going to actually get into the scheme of this. We're just showing exactly what happened up front, but we're going to show exactly how they were able to win initially anyway, from a couple of standpoints in these matchups. So they run a line game from the 2nd level and number 97, where Biadasz takes on the 2nd level defender, but the 2nd level defender crashes into Allegretti, or he's attempting to, right? Because the goal as that crasher in the line game is to clear a path for your looper. He does that. So now you have the looper in the line game and Micah Parsons in pursuit of Jaden Daniels. Forces a throwaway. On the coverage side, Noah Brown, who's the slot man right on the field side, right here. Man coverage once again. Running that crosser route. Gets open for a split second at the top of your route. I think personally he could have done a little bit better job of creating separation at the top of his route, but some may disagree. I ran into a disagreement already. but he's open, and you can probably see it in this angle a little bit better. At this point, as soon as he breaks, you can kind of see the 2 feet and where he was. Let's kind of show it right here. Oh, you can't really see it that good, but it's covered now. So at the time that Jaden starts scrambling, you know, he doesn't have anybody to throw it to. And that single high safety, right, is over top of Noah. So there is nowhere to go with the football. All right, so this was a good play. Amongst all of the negative going on, this was a good play. Right, you get I think this was a 2nd and 12. You get Noah Brown on a 13-yard completion. But I want to show like the importance in this play, right? We talked about sometimes when we run the tight alignments with the backs or the tight ends or the receivers in the formation or close to the tackles. You know, sometimes Micah does line outside the tackle or line outside of that receiver / tight end or running back. It's one of those instances, right? Now you're talking about a situation where Micah, instead of rushing the quarterback, matter of fact, we're not even worried about the completion. We need to look at the end zone angle so you can see. We're not letting, from a Cowboys perspective, we're not letting this receiver hit the flat without being contested. So Micah says, I'm going to drive you into your offensive lineman so that quarterback does not have you as a check down. Right? Again, a completion, so a positive for Washington, but the front end doesn't necessarily mesh with what the back end was doing. But Micah handled his business, and the goal was to not allow that free release into the flat area right down here by that 40-yard line where Deami can catch the ball and get him an easy 6 or 7, or maybe even break it depending on the way this coverage was breaking, right? Or the way the coverage shell was looking. Because he gets into that flat, he has about at least 7 or 8 yards to run. He's a 4-4 guy. He can get you close to the first down, if not the first down. So that's one way that they were protecting the flats. The Dallas Cowboys was getting hands on these chippers so they wouldn't make a play in the flats for easy pickups. All right, so what's the genesis of these pressure causing moments, right? You get an incomplete pass to Noah Brown here, jump ball situation. Wasn't really super close to Noah. It was inside, and you know he would have had to make a spectacular grab over the defender to make this happen. But what's going on up front is the actual issue. We showed one of the line games that Dallas Cowboys played. They continue to do so here, but here's what they're doing and why what I showed you in the first one is essential to this one. On play 21, I think this is another 3rd and 9. This is a 3rd and long situation. The Dallas Cowboys is protecting their secondary by rushing 5 defenders, and they're handling business, honestly. So now you get another 2nd level rush. And obviously, when you get 5-man rushes, you get a true one-on-one situation for your offensive lineman against the pass rushers, right? That's the goal of that 5-man rush for a defense. And for Washington, they get this one-on-one look up front, and they're unable to pick up the stunts. Once again, you got to be really, really good in pass protection / stunt pickups and passing off stunts when you're in true one-on-one situations, because if you are not unable to pick it up, you get moments like this where you get a free clear rusher to the quarterback. And if he's unable to find somebody downfield, you're going to get a free, that rusher's going to get a free hit on the quarterback, chance at a big play / turnover, and then your quarterback gets dinged up a little bit. So let's kind of show just the instance from 63 and 67, right? They're not passing it off properly, right? Allegretti tries to stay on his man, but they aren't able to do so. And what I think hurts Washington in this instance, right? This has been a case throughout the entire season. A scheme is a scheme, but I think they do a lot of man scheme protections up front. I may be wrong, but that's what I come to notice when I see sometimes they're not picking up these calls right, or even, these line games right, or even in certain situations where line games aren't being played, they lock on to one person because that's their assignment, right? And never mind the free man to the left or to the right, I have to pick up this one particular guy. That indicates in my head that like there's some form of man scheme protection going on. But when you have instances like that where you're passing off a line game, They're not even worried about it. They're sticking to their man. And you get free rushers like that. So that's another instance that Cowboys were able to exploit Washington up front, was being able to rush in that fashion, but also having a coordinated plan in their line games and things like that, which was pretty productive for them. All right, so here is our last one for this film session. It's right before it became 20-9. It's a 3rd and 7. You throw an incomplete pass to Noah Brown on the boundary. Jaden Daniels relies on, that boundary curl / comeback, which isn't a problem. It's not a problem. I think he does this often. He's done it throughout the season, and he trusted. And Noah Brown had 10 targets for a reason, right? In this game. Granted, those 10 targets should be Terry, compared to Terry having the 8, I believe, that he had against the Dallas Cowboys. But he had 10 targets. And Noah Brown, we just showed you a curl that he got open on, right, for a completion of 13 yards. So it makes sense for why he throws this football. But I also think from that standpoint, you having as much protection as you did, this is an opportunity to trust yourself, have a better feel for that internal clock, because that middle of the field is wide open. You have a too high coverage, which indicates middle of the field is going to be open, right? And a quarter's coverage. And you got Zach Ertz wide open in the middle of the field. Again, at 3rd and 7, he's beyond the sticks for like 12 yards if you get a completion. That's a first down if you throw it with that anticipatory timing and that anticipatory skill set, that you do have. Get that ball to Zach Ertz, get the ball out your hands. Again, I understand why he threw it. He's been throwing it throughout the game. He throws it. He likes it. He likes that throw just as a quarterback altogether. But in this moment where you see that middle of the field get open, if he did see it, work back to the middle of the field, find Zach Ertz so we can keep the chains moving. So that's going to wrap it up on this film session. We showed you the offensive line side from pass protection to the run game, the very first moment of it being blown up, just people just not executing. But we also showed you from the receiver standpoint while I may have not directly called them out, there wasn't much separation in some instances against the Dallas Cowboys. They played a lot of man coverage. They challenged these receivers to make plays, and they weren't able to do so in some aspects. But then when they were, either the pass protection wasn't there, or as in the last play that we showed, Jaden Daniels was focused on one particular play or one particular route in particular, and missing the open receiver. It's not good right now. That's a consistent theme over the last 3 weeks. But your Dallas Cowboys their pass rush was good. Their rush plan was good. It stood out against the Washington Commanders. It seemed like they weren't ready for it, or just overall lost the battle up front in the trenches. You get a Tennessee Titans game or Tennessee Titans team who defensively are some dogs again. And while their record may not indicate they're a good football team, if you follow the podcast by itself, I told you the the Tennessee Titans was a defense where you couldn't hide from them. You can't just outright pour it on them. Like, they're going to make things muddy. They're going to make things difficult. That's going to be the side of the football that keeps them in games. Washington has their work cut out for them. You have to turn things around. A 3-game losing skid is ugly, but what makes things better are wins. See if they can turn it around, man. 5 games left in the season. I hope you all enjoyed this film session. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, man. Peace.
Chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Damn, set, watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.